John Axel in this motherfucker. Welcome to the News Underground. I am the Harbinger. Demanding that you abandon nihilism. Seawalk in this bitch. I cannot do this. Trapped in the Christ-like zone. Fuck it, you know I'm trying to think. That's me right there. See, that's about my capabilities. No, big props to your boy Roland Jones for this amazing music. We were also listening to, I believe, Ghost Town as well. We're just going to start that album off. Thank you, Illusions of Self. Thank you, Ghost Town. Great album. Folks, this is the News Underground, the hardest motherfucking news source on Twitch, without a doubt. Source of real underground news. We don't play around. We don't fuck around. We get down to brass tacks real quick. Because last time I checked, this is an existential crisis for democracy's existence. Am I incorrect about that? I think a fair assessment is actually this is a direct assault against our democracy, and fair to say it's we're not winning. It's a stalemate at best. It's a stalemate if you want to be cloyingly optimistic. But we're not winning. More members of Charlie Kirk's fucking organization than any leftist organization I can think of. Maybe I'm wrong. Welcome back in this motherfucking number one in the chat, John Axel. Thank you, Beavis. Thank you, Butthead. Voice of a generation. Folks, we're going to be jumping into quite a bit of news, actually. We're going to be doing some business news, U.S. news, Ukraine news. Going to jump into a little bit of Haiti news, update there. Would you believe me if everything's cool now? It's all good? Everyone's happy? No. Not looking great in Haiti. Then we're going to jump into Gaza, which has totally improved, and everything is great over there as well. Lots of good news everywhere, folks. No, I don't trust you. That's fair. That's fair. Strategy member, welcome in this motherfucker. OG's in the chat. Welcome back, Kim Goblin. Let's jump into it. The first hour is going to be very boring, so go ahead and leave. Go ahead and take your nappies. Come back. We're going to do the interesting stuff after the hour of important news that no one wants to watch and no one pays attention to this shit, so the rich oligarchy get to do whatever the fuck they want to us. I mean, I dip my toes in this shit. I still don't understand what the hell's going on, right? But you can't ignore it. Wanted to talk about this, though, right off the bat. Spicy. I hope I don't get in trouble from your boy, Daddy Bezos. You know, I'm afraid to even show her face on screen. You know what I mean? This is Daddy Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Scooby-Doo. Mackenzie Scooby-Doo. She promised, you know, she got a big chunk of dough from Daddy Bezos's money vault, the one that he swims around in like Scrooge McDuck. So he, you know, he's probably not too happy about it, but she got a big fat chunk of change, and she promised to give it away. Well, apparently she's giving away more than she even promised. Donates $640 million, more than doubling her planned gifts to nonprofit applicants. So that's, you know, good for her. Thank you so much. Please don't get mad at me, Daddy Bezos. I'm just reporting the news. Thank you so much, Daddy Bezos, for letting me do the news on your wonderful adolescent pornography network. You think they got face recognition running 24/7 on her face on every... I don't know, man. They got... all that shit exists. You know, and let me tell you, it's as easy as pie to plug some of this shit into your system. Right? You get their API. You know, you got to pay $1 bazillion a month. subscription fees are outrageous for stuff like that, but probably PR, but it's more than Bezos has given his whole life. Yeah, it's so true. I don't know. Who knows though? I mean, that might not be true actually, because you know, to release their tax burden, right? They'll often use charity as part of their money, you know, hiding, shuffling schemes, right? Like, oh, I'm doing this just because I'm so benevolent. It has nothing to do with, you know, my tax burden, hiding things, and not paying my obligations. That kind of shit. Yeah, Mackenzie Scott, it's too late. Nah, man. Whoop, 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 whoop. Coming for your money, Bezos. Coming for your money, boy. All right, moving on to the next one. This one's really fucking boring. But it's a harbinger. So we need to talk about it. Welcome back in this motherfucking Woke Patriot. Ah! Welcome back, Woke Patriot. It's good to see you. Thank you for being here. They don't need face recognition software. They have me. Oh, Chem Goblin. Oh. Hey, greetings from south of Boston. It's your boy, Lenny, who I hope your morning stream was successful. I try not to step on your toes here, Lenny. But I hope you had a good stream. I hope it was a successful one. My morning is packed with baby, dog, you know, and like I'm like literally walking the dog and like listening to, you know, to the news on my phone while I'm walking, you know, trying to get my coffee. I'm like doing 6 different things. I wish I didn't have you know, all these things to do so I could sit down and enjoy a Lenny stream. So business insolvencies climbed 41% and could get worse, reports suggest. So this pertains to Canadian businesses. And man, you can feel it over here, dude. Yeah, you can feel it. Doing okay. All right. Well, I hope you do better. I hope you're doing. I hope soon you'll be doing great. Hopefully that stream went well. But no, so this pertains to Canadian business, and you can feel it. You can feel it. Prices are through the roof. Everything's closing down. Kind of reminds me of San Francisco. And apparently a big reason why the insolvencies are climbing. It has to do with the bill is due for the COVID relief loans. Unlike the United States, which forgave a lot of loans, apparently a lot of these places are not getting forgiven. And let me remind you what happened in the United States with the COVID loans. I have any excuse to show the PPP boys. The PPP boys who literally bragged in their song and made t-shirts about how they are defrauding the government by taking COVID loans. By taking the COVID PPP loans and of course expecting them to be forgiven. He was of course arrested and all that, but all he needed to do was shut his fucking mouth, and there's a very high likelihood that everything would have been forgiven and he would have been good to go. But I don't know if this is the song. I don't know if this is so tired, by the way, all this like hanging out with your guns and shooting them at the camera stuff. Like this is actually really boring now. You know, I just wanted to point that out, but I just wanted to bring up any chance to bring up the PPP boys. So yeah, the PPP boys wouldn't get very far over here in Canada. Let me tell you what. So let's watch a couple minutes of this because this is interesting and this does affect the Canadian economy quite a bit. We're seeing it all over the place. Businesses closing down, and really it's either an empty storefront or taking its place is some multi-billion-dollar corporation. And there's like only six or seven multi-billion-dollar corporations in Canada. It's so boring. Nothing like singing about a crime you committed. It's so funny, Lenny. It's like R.I.P. Canadian businesses. Exactly, an okay life. So we're not going to dwell on this too long. We're not going to watch the whole 8 minutes of this, but we are going to get a little taste of this. So don't worry. We're not going to dwell too long.
Well, the deadline.
Whoa, that is loud in my headphones. So I'm just going to try. I was cranking it up for the PPP boys. Hold on. All right. Okay.
To repay, well, the deadline to repay those COVID emergency loans for businesses in this country is today in order to get a large portion of it forgiven by the government. But
Oh, interesting. So that's the scheme. They have to pay a portion if they want a big chunk of it forgiven. That is actually kind of brilliant. If I was a business that's going insolvent, I wouldn't be applauding this, but I kind of like that. That's a pretty fair policy. Still sucks. I mean, you would hope that there would be a way to maybe apply to do like monthly payments or like break it down into half or some kind of, hey, this is I'm gonna have to close my business. Is there some way you can help me out kind of system, right? Like I'm not trying to ask for the whole thing to be forgiven. I'm just trying to say I need more time. Right. So it sounds like that is not available. And it sounds like there's a hard deadline on this if you want to take advantage of this massive discount. And goddamn, man, that's a nasty one. You absolutely want to take advantage of that. I mean, with AI tech, I'll be fucked. The economic structure don't change soon. I mean, AI is going to change a lot of stuff. But it might change it for that. We might see mom and pop shops come back because mom and pop, a couple robots, can now run a whole restaurant. You know what I mean? So we might shoot. I think AI it's a double-edged sword with AI here. Extremely useful, society-changing, culture-changing tool that is going to damage just as much as it's going to benefit humanity.
Forgiven by the government. But we were just hearing that there is a portion of the businesses who did take out this loan that are looking ahead and saying, I'm not going to be able to make this deadline today. And even if I take the government up on its loan offer of paying interest on this portion that it now owes, which would be the full portion of the loan over the next couple of years, they're not going to be able to do that either.
Interesting.
And we've heard that as...
Okay, so there is a way to not pay it back, but you have to pay the interest, but you pay the interest on the full loan, even though you only have to pay back the partial. Am I understanding this correct? Getting a little complicated here. But, I mean, I think the overall story here is that people are fucking broke, dude. People are out of money over here in Canada, man. We're a bunch of broke bitches over here.
As a concern leading up to this deadline, too, which is why the Canadian Federation of Independent Business has been pushing back on this deadline. But as we see today, that advocating for that deadline to be pushed back wasn't successful. But we're going to check in with Dan Kelly, President and
US,
CEO of the
CFIB,
now to get his take on what he's hearing from businesses who have come up to this deadline, Dan, now that today's the day. You've got to pay things back if you want to get that portion of it forgiven. We were talking with a lender yesterday who said that they saw a big uptick in businesses trying to refinance in order to be able to pay the government back and get that portion forgiven. What have you been hearing?
Yeah, sure. There's some of everything. There was a group, about a third of businesses that had the money that was and were able to either already have repaid their CBA loan or had the money ready to go. Another third of businesses, roughly, were looking to borrow money to pay their CBA loan by taking out a bank loan to pay a government-backed loan. But the group that I'm most worried about, of course, are the chunk of businesses that were not in a position to do either. They didn't have the capacity to borrow. They certainly didn't have the money on hand. We estimate that about 22% of businesses, or perhaps as many as 200,000 businesses, will unfortunately lose access to this altogether.
Lose access to it altogether?
Terrible.
You mean in terms of
the forgivable portion of the loan? Yeah, by missing today's deadline, by not applying for a loan by today's deadline, they will then now be hit with the full $60,000 tomorrow. Their debt goes up by 50.
Look, we're not talking about the PPP boys. We're talking about mom and pops, right? That took out COVID loans to pay their payroll, so that people could keep their jobs, but while nobody was buying anything. You know what I'm saying? So this is not fraudulent activity. These were people trying to, not only keep their businesses afloat, but keep their, like I said, keep their people employed and keep the payroll flowing. And they should not be punished in this way. Like, I understand having to pay back a portion, but honestly, the fair thing to do is they got to extend this deadline. They got to help these businesses out, and give them access to this deal. This is nuts, man. Look, I understand having this, like, you got to incentivize action, right? Because you got to have some kind of, guillotine, some blade that's gonna fall. But it's 2024, dog. This shit was like 2 years ago. Give them a break. Give these, I understand there's probably some big billionaire companies in here too, I bet. But honestly, if this helps out even, if this helps out even like 5 or 10 awesome Chinese food restaurants, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like, they should be, that should be the focus. If anything, an exception should be like, okay, well, if you're under $1 billion business, then yeah, you get an exception, you get an extension. If you have the money in the bank and there's no goddamn excuse whatsoever, then no exception for you, right? Fine, do that, but like, do something. This is really cruel, and it affects the neighborhood, man. It sucks because what do we get? We just get a bunch of Tim Hortons everywhere, man. Bunch of white spots. Goddamn triple O's everywhere. Yeah, these Americans and everyone else like, what are you talking about? What is this guy nonsense? Canadian fast food companies, triple O's, disgusting burgers. They're really gross burgers.
50%.
Okay.
They go from owing $40,000 to owing $60,000. That's the group that are most vulnerable to business failure. But even those that have hustled to try to borrow the money, they do have a few extra months till March 28th to get the financing in place. But some of them are having to borrow the money from the bank to get the forgivable portion. They're getting hit with 10, 15% interest.
Come on.
And they don't, they're cutting into bone here in order to keep that financed.
All right.
Yeah,
look,
so when
I don't
you're...
want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to sound like, oh, save the businesses, Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful over here. But dude, come on, man. This, like I said, this some regular ass people doing regular ass businesses that, really make the neighborhood really nice. Those nice little ice cream shops and, fill in the blank, boba shops and all those nice little places. They give them a chance, man. I'm sure they're either a lot of companies ready to buy up the failed businesses or will profit off the max exodus of areas to seek opportunity in other areas. I mean, that's the case sometimes, but that's not always the case. A hardware store, everyone just goes to the Home Depot. It's that kind of stuff. I need to go to my local hardware store more than Home Depot. I'm going to start doing that this year. Time to all work at Amazon.
Hearing about what the next couple of years
I
might
love
end
that
up being
idea,
like
huh?
if you've
Right, Jeff?
either got that bank loan to worry about, or now going from maybe $40,000 to $60,000,
last segment,
and then tacking on interest onto that from the government in the years ahead too. I mean, that it's a 2026 deadline for paying back that loan to the government. What's your sense of what these next couple of years could be like?
It's rough. Look, there is only half of Canada's small business community that is back to pre-pandemic levels of sales. On top of that, all businesses have seen huge cost increases on every single line of their budget.
Oh.
And
the moment they open the doors, the cost of goods and for all their supplies, whether it's food or hard goods or non-perishables, whatever it is, baseball cards and fucking butt lube, dude, does not matter. It's like $1 more, no matter what it is, dude.
For the large majority of businesses that had to take on pandemic debt through the CEBA loan, but also private debt, just to survive, they have to now make pretty significant payments to keep that going. All of this is a recipe for some pretty tough times in the next few years.
This sucks, dude.
And for some business owners, particularly those
let me tell you something. This is going to lose Justin. This is another thing. I mean, Justin Trudeau needs to get off his duff and do some leading. He needs to do some leading now. Not this, everything will be great if you just reelect me. Bullshit. you got to be doing some leading right now, because PP's over here, Pierre Polyev over here, lying his ass off about how everything's going to be better once PP takes over, right? Oh, I'm going to fix all of this. Lies, 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 you know, from a conservative snake and a person who hasn't even really governed, doesn't even know what he's doing.
We're now seeing their debt level rise. We suspect a good number of them are going to mark this as basically the final message that their business is done, and they're looking to turn in their keys to someone. This is really worrisome. A lot of these businesses are not going to make it, not because they're not viable businesses. Many of them have pivoted hard to be able to make all sorts of changes, but trying to get the debt behind them that they took on to survive the pandemic is what might drag some of them under.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's something that some, people have wondered. You know, if you've agreed to a loan with specific terms, that, those are the terms. And in fact, I mean, Dan, you've advocated for this to be pushed back a couple of times, twice successfully.
Yes.
It's already been pushed back
repayment
twice.
deadline was pushed forward. So, I mean, what would you say to people who are looking at this and saying, the debt has come due, the one that you agreed to, and it's been a few years.
Yeah, look, I'm sympathetic to that view, but you have to put yourself back in the shoes of a business owner in the spring of 2020 when these loans were taken out.
It was nuts.
Your business was just suddenly shut down by government. You were told that you had perhaps 2 weeks or 2 months just to get by, and so take this loan.
Same here.
You can then have till the end of 22 to repay it. We should be good. Those 2 weeks, 2 months turned into on and off restrictions for 2 years. Canada had the longest lockdowns in the entire world. Restaurants, gyms in the city of Toronto, for example, were closed for 430 days.
It was a ghost
How
town.
they're still alive is a testament to the ingenuity of these business owners.
I was here right at the end of
So the circumstances have changed. We
the
didn't have the
quarantine
big
and
boom
everything.
that was predicted by economists coming out of the pandemic, where businesses were told that they would have all sorts of customers climbing through the doors. That didn't materialize, and then of course inflation hit. So these business owners may have taken this loan, but that's why we believe that government being a bit more patient would actually mean that taxpayers will get more of this money back by pushing businesses to the very edge right now. I worry that ultimately it'll be all of us as taxpayers that end up having to cover off the $40,000 or $60,000 in its entirety if the business itself disappears.
Yeah, so that's a great point. He's like, this tax money is going to come from somewhere. We're going to have big shortfalls with all these businesses closing, and each one of these businesses contributing $40,000 to $60,000 in tax a year, and probably more in a bunch of other areas. Great analysis here from Bloomberg. Good interview from an incredible AI journalist. No, I'm kidding. But no, she was great. But that's very interesting. And let me tell you, like I said before, last thing I'll say on this is you can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. And I legitimately feel bad for business, big and small, in Canada, because it was COVID. It was, the inflation, and things really aren't getting better. The market is not correcting in a way, to really get people to, get money, to entice them to spend money. Ordering crap sucks in Canada. It's incredibly expensive. I won't get into it, but it's just everything is more expensive. And let me tell you, the wages in Canada, holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. You ever walked in a bathroom, someone blew out? That's the wage situation in Canada. Like, oh, fuck. You find something to prop the door open, right? Like, I'm coming back in 10 minutes, dude. I'm going to go find a bush to shit in. That's the state of wages in Canada, dude. You get pittance. You get pittance. All right. Well, moving on. Yeah, dog. $78 billion. Evergrande. I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to say it. People say Evergrande or Evergrande. That looks like an Evergrande to me. We had VTubers, now we have AI journalists. No, she wasn't AI. She was just so beautiful. It was like, is this woman even real? They find, you know, I don't know where they find these women, you know, beautiful, intelligent, you know, like perfect women. You know, it's just, and they're reading the news. We won't get into the weather women from, was it Brazil or Mexico? She's nuts. The West is really fucking up. It's funny to look at other countries and happiness and progress is apparent, but the West achieved success is now failing to maintain it due to bureaucracy and refusal to pivot financial policy and refusal. Well, it's you know, it's ultimately that's the fault of the apathetic political, you know, the citizens, the apathy of the citizens there, because our political parties would be more bold and more, you know, refreshed, we'll say, if there was some kind of mandate being pushed on them. There's it's interesting, right? Because in the United States, there's a mandate on the right wing. The mandate is not for lowering taxes or, you know, making homes cheaper. I mean, that stuff would be nice, right? They would like that, you know, raise my wages. They'd like that. But the mandate is, you know, destroy gay people, you know, implement a theocracy, you know, we want an authoritarian strongman. There's a mandate there. But on the left, the mandate, I mean, you tell me what the mandate is, dude. What's the mandate for the neoliberals? They don't promise us jack shit because they don't have to deliver jack shit. You know why? Because the only thing they offer is we're not the right wing. It's pathetic. And it's not working, by the way. You know, the smarmy MSNBC wine drinking mom. Oh, it's the only way. How dare you even could conceive not supporting Joe Biden? It's like, yeah, the guy sucks on ice. It's 50-50 right now with a what, thrice indicted carnival barker? Is it 4 times indicted? Shouldn't be 50-50, jackass. Oh, well, he's the best we can do. The fuck he is. You're telling me AOC wouldn't ignite a fire? If this party had any sense, they'd put, you know, pretty firebrand AOC right at the top of the ticket. Instead, they keep her nice. She's too loud. She made Nancy Pelosi angry. Oh. Hakeem Jeffries, right? Yeah, yep, we're going to keep that going. We're going to keep that train going. Got to make sure we suppress the progressives. You know, I'm not like AOC's biggest fan or anything, but tell me she's not a breath of fresh air compared to the, you know, mothball, smells like mothball DNC run by zombie Nancy Pelosi through Hakeem Jeffries. Tell me that isn't a difference. Oh, we can't. Oh, that might piss off Bibi Netanyahu. Whatever will we do if we piss off a right-wing extremist from another country? Decentralize the country. Anyway, back to the story. Evergrande here, China property giant, and its founder accused of $78 billion fraud. So, you know, China over here. What? Evergrande? Fraud? I'm shocked. In reality, the Chinese government worked very closely with Evergrande. Okay, very well aware of it. So this is the portion of the story where a bunch of corrupt thieves get thrown under the bus to take the blame, and you know, if they're lucky, they'll keep their lives. Because China, you know, the Chinese empire is all too happy to execute people for financial crimes. It's not unheard of at all. And this is one of China's greatest financial crimes. So don't be surprised if 1 or 2 of these guys gets thrown under the bus, literally. In China, they drop a big hammer and sickle, you know, painted red bus on top of you in an amphitheater. And, you know, of course, you know, you're forced to stand and applaud. Now, I'm only kidding a little bit, but they do public executions. I believe. I don't know if they televise them. I'm sure. I'm sure they've done that in the past. because I've seen video of a televised public execution in China. But we might see some of these guys get, you know, and they don't do it Putin style. They do it the whole color of law, you know, kangaroo court. Yeah, you know, and they're super guilty, right? It's not like they're not thieves. So yeah, they get thrown under the bus. But the joke for me is that the Chinese government was 100% involved in Evergrande's businesses. Because it was, if you don't recall, there was a lot of commie chatter a couple years ago about the greatness of the Chinese economy. Look, it's amazing. They're building 3 power plants a month, yada yada. Look at the expansion; it's totally nuts. Look at the massive growth. Well, it was artificial growth, and of course, if you've been following China, you would have heard of something called ghost cities. Literally, construction projects building entire city complexes for miles, hundreds of thousands, and hundreds of thousands in some cases, apartments and properties that in a lot of cases, and in the case of Evergrande here, were pre-sold, right? Hey, you get a discount, 10% off on this brand new home. It's going to be built in 5 years. Hey, we just got done building 600 apartments over here. We got a reputation, right? You can trust us. Those people not getting their money back, dog. Imagine paying the amount you would pay for a house, full-blown mortgage. Imagine having to pay the mortgage for a property you're never going to own, for a property, but you got to pay that bill, or else you are, you got to do, bankruptcy, and you've ruined your financial life. Completely would ruin you. It would have ruined me. It would have destroyed my life if this would have happened. This is happening to tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of regular Chinese citizens, and the Chinese government, covering it right up. Oh, Chinese L? No, Chinese dub. What are you talking about? China #1. This didn't even happen, dog. Fuck those people. Oh, Chinese citizens. Oh, we don't go. Fuck those people. Fuck those people. This isn't real. We changed the numbers. That's all they do. It's like the Chinese economy, the Chinese stock market and all this. It is a video game, dude. It is literally a simulation of something, right? And they just throw a number here and there. They flip a switch and change a number. Oh, it's all good now. I don't know how, it's just, it kind of makes sense though, because all financial markets, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but all financial markets kind of depend on a certain amount of faith, that, when it comes to value and what things are worth, and it's all kind of like an ethereal kind of human kind of thing, right? It's worth what someone's willing to pay for it kind of situation. So you could, I guess theoretically, you could just get away with, if people are still working, if money is still flowing, it's kind of like a massive, bizarre, incredibly complicated Ponzi scheme. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I got a strong feeling on that. Maybe. Tim Lee Lennon, 17. Thank you for that follow. All right, let's read this article instead of bloviating. Struggling Chinese property giant Evergrande. Sorry, I've been listening to a lot of ZZ Top. My kid loves ZZ Top. We're having a lot of fun. All right, struggling Chinese property giant Evergrande and its founder Hu Ka-yan have been accused of inflating revenues by $78 billion in the last 2 years before the firm defaulted on its debt. So it was doing everything it can to stay solvent, including, cooking the books as much as possible to make it look like they had more revenue than what was actually coming in, right? Once the news broke out that people were not getting their homes that they bought, business having a hard time doing business right now. The country's financial markets regulator has fined the company's mainland business, Hagenda Real Estate, $583.5 million. Yuan? What's that? $50? I will grow strawberries and tell you news. Others build homes, and once we all get a plate, we sell the excess. Easy. All right, Mao. Mr. Hu also faces being banned for life from Chinese financial markets. In January, Evergrande was ordered to liquidate by a Hong Kong court. The China Securities Regulatory Commission, CSRC, laid much of the blame on Mr. Hu, who was once China's richest man, for allegedly instructing staff to falsely inflate Hagenda's annual results in 2019 and 2020. Here's the dirty little truth. Here's the dirty little truth. He had no fucking choice. He had no fucking choice, dude. Okay. Hey, Xi Jinping, Representative Xi Jinping would like to talk to you. Yeah, guess what you're doing, buddy? Okay, this motherfucker had zero choice in the matter. I guarantee you. Mr. Hu, and if he falls on the sword, okay, he gets to keep his life. This is how it works, okay? If he does exactly what he's told and falls on the sword, he might get to keep his life. Mr. Hu was also fined $6.5 million, according to a filing by the company to the Shenzhen and Shanghai stock exchanges. Evergrande did not immediately respond to a BBC request for comment. Last September, Mr. Hu was also the company's chairman, was put under police surveillance as he was investigated under suspected illegal crimes. So this is what it's all about, right? This is the process of getting thrown under the bus by the Chinese ruling party. The announcement comes days after the CSRC vowed to crack down on securities fraud and protect small investors with teeth and horns. Ooh, none of these people are getting their fucking money back. Evergrande. Oh yeah, you think the Chinese government's going to cover the 72 billion, or the 500? No, they're not. No one's getting their money back. No one. Maybe they'll get a tote bag filled with ramen noodles. The announcement comes days after the CSRC vowed to crack down on securities fraud and protect small investors. Oh, sorry. Evergrande has been the poster child of China's real estate crisis with more than 300 billion of debt, and it just disappears. It just the whole, isn't it crazy? It's like a nuke goes off, but no sound and no, it's just like, you're just waiting for the explosion. Just, boop, it just disappears. China finds a way to hide it. You can't see it. That your family has been taken into re-education. Oh no! Shit! She is gone too. She's driving. I get a call from the Chinese government. We regret to inform you that your family has been kidnapped and sent to a re-education camp. Please walk outside and submit to the government inside the van. I mean, we're talking about the government that decided it was a smart policy to just fucking straight up nail your ass, nail your front door shut. You're stuck in your apartment. You figure it out. They went door to door with nail guns and shut your ass in. Sky's the limit. The uproar of it'd be so funny because like Americans act like that's what happened to them, right? Oh, because they had to wear a mask to shop at Walmart for a couple months. They treat it like they were nailed into their apartment, right? Oh no. It's so funny to me, and to this day, to see people who have vaccines for dozens of different other deadly viruses and diseases being like, I'm not taking that vaccine. I don't trust it. Well, you gotta go after your protein spikes to disable. If you already have the vaccine, you gotta disable the vaccine. You gotta go after your protein spikes. Take this herbal medication. Get it on Infowars.com. It's pathetic. It really is pathetic. Liquidators have been appointed to look at Evergrande's overall financial position and identify potential restructuring strategies. Potential. The whole thing's getting ripped apart, dude. And now that the cat's really out of the bag and people are getting thrown under the bus, it's probably going to happen quite swiftly. That could include seizing and selling off assets so that the proceeds can be used to repay outstanding debts. This could mean more epic building destruction videos. Look, if you haven't seen this. I'm gonna end the Chinese segment right here by showing this. This is amazing. This footage, it looks fake. It looks fake because they're doing it. They do it all at the same. They did this one all at the same time. It's totally epic, man. It looks like a movie. It's just, you know. But if you see here, so okay, why interrupt that? He's gonna pull the switch. But as you see here, all of these apartment buildings, they were just, you know, it was all about, you know, making China look great. But look how many of them, dude. Oh, you got Christopher Nolan over here, and you know, the director of Transformers, Michael Bay, being like, "What a waste! What a waste!" The things we could have done in a movie, like in a superhero movie, with like, yeah, no, go ahead, blow up all the buildings in this entire town. Look at this, the entire town, dog. No joke. It looks fake, doesn't it? Buildings toppling on top of buildings. But no, they do this because they're not going to finish it. No one's living there. Not enough people are going to have kids in the next century to fill these buildings. You know what I mean? Isn't that wild? So I think we're going to get more of this, dude, which is super awesome. I mean, it's not awesome for... Look, I do feel bad for the regular Chinese citizen getting fucked over by their government. I do honestly feel bad, just as I feel bad for the naive, propagandized, ignorant Russian soldier getting his torso blown off by a robot toy drone for you know, being convinced that invading another man's country is a good idea. You know, I feel bad. I do. I feel bad. I don't want to celebrate this. You know, I don't want to, you know, what I would like to see, it's like, fine, I disagree with China. Oh, wow, that one stood up. Look at that one. That one's staying there. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. You don't leave the come on. You don't leave the camera up? That sucks. You don't leave the camera up. God, it looks like a movie. You know, so like I'm saying, like, I don't want to celebrate people suffering. That's what I'm trying to say. And I would like to see the Chinese government, okay, whatever, you want to pretend you're a communist government while you're super capitalist, right? Whatever. I mean, I'm actually reading this really amazing book right now about the life of Chairman Mao. So I'm kind of getting, you know, a taste of what it's like, how, you know, the internal Chinese government. And it's, you know, and look, I know it's very different from nowadays, right? But honestly, it reminds me a lot of, you know, the way Russia does it, you know, with just kind of a lot of, you know, no one's really elected. It's just who you know. God, this is crazy. All right, so there you go. Update on China's economy, which is fascinating to watch. And like I said, it's fascinating to me how nothing happens. If you know, this would rock the financial world in the West, right? This would have big time, you know, fluctuations in the market because of it. I mean, this, you know, a company like Evergrande would be connected with, you know, it'd be like a Bernie Madoff situation, connected with a bunch of different organizations and entities. All right, where are we at? 45 minutes. We're on to the next segment. Not too bad. I can speed it up a bit. So we got to get to everyone's favorite segment, Trump. Yay. Trumpy flumpy tumpy. Yay. We love talking about Trump 24/7. What is every single news organization that isn't the News Underground going to do when Trump kicks the bucket, dude? It's going to be funny because they're stuck on Trump. So it's going to be several months of Trump, like post-humus. Going to be Trump in the media, zombie Trump in the media for the next 2 to 3 months because they don't know what to do. Trump is a core part of every, you know, mainstream, or for a lot of cases, like if you watch the David Pakman show, And his Luke show, the other fella there that works for Pac-Man. It's 24/7 Trump. It's the 24/7 Trump show. You know, you got the Midas Touch guys. You got the Lincoln Project guys. Breaking Point spending a lot of time on the Republicans. You know, I don't watch a lot of Kyle Kalinske anymore, so I don't know. I can't see what he's up to. Been a new thing to care about. You think Trump dying will just make the world more civil? It really does depend. I mean, look, the Republican Party failing in this endeavor, and then like for the next several decades losing the ability to democratically, you know, change the system, right? If they fail in this attempt to change, you know, so say they, you know, they don't win this presidential election, and then the neoliberals finally pull a real voting rights act out of their ass and actually get it passed, regardless of the, you know, obstruction going to be coming from the Republicans. You know what I mean? Like if they, you know, they pass a federal law that says, no, this is how elections are going to, doesn't matter if you're Arizona or Texas, you don't get to say, oh, we detect fraud, so we get to take our election, you know, to a council of right wingers. They get to say, oh, there was definitely fraud, and we get to pick our candidate. No, you don't get to do any of that. This is how you do it. It's all run from the federal government. If you don't like it, then succeed from the union, bitch. Right? Get the fuck out of the union. Well, I'll do just that, says Texas. Okay, well, I'll leave it. I'll be in the country in Texas. Yeah, you do that, bitch. Let me see the Texas country's economy separating from the United States. I'd love to see it. Watch the neoliberals negotiate with the country of Texas to like keep all the same, so it's basic, so they get to keep all the same shit. Wouldn't that just be a neoliberal thing to do? Okay, you can separate from the union, and we'll do a new trade deal, and everything will be just the same, and we'll just keep subsidizing you and giving you money. Wouldn't that just be the bee's knees? But you don't have to pay any taxes anymore. You have no more have no more obligation to the federal government. But California is going to still bail out your economy. Yeah. Do we have hope for millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Alphas are the voters? I mean, there's a serious apathy problem. There's a serious apathy problem, and that's why I'm here. I'm abandoned nihilism, aka the Harbinger. I'm here to destroy it. It's an existential threat to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Is this political apathy? It's destroying us. This nihilism is destroying us. We need to abandon it. We need to destroy it. It's destroying us. It's destroying our society, our culture. It's allowing mediocre characters like Elon Musk far too much power. In a fair and just society, he would have been, you know, I don't know. It's not like being an asshole is not illegal, and that should never be illegal, no matter how annoying it is. But the various regulations and crimes that he's committing in his factories around safety seem to be very interesting. The things he's getting away with, you know, that are being cloaked in the disrupting kind of category. What I'm trying to say is that Elon Musk seems to be getting away with a lot because he's a rich guy. But no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe rich guys are totally held into or are totally accountable in the United States. What am I talking about? Speaking of a rich guy who I don't know, seemingly is being held accountable, I wanted to give you an update here on Flumpy Tumpy and just on the bond situation. You know, it was embarrassing listening to me hear about this, like surrogers and all these different things, but this is like a totally real thing, and it seemed like out of the blue to me because I'm not a millionaire and I don't follow court cases, but this is a pretty common thing. The thing that's most uncommon though is the amount. So he was able to already secure one of these things with E. Jean Carroll with like the 91 million because that was below 100 million. Most of these places don't want to do more than 100 million. And, you know, the kind of collateral you have to put up, it's like, well, why don't we just sell it? So this gets into a little bit of some of those details and what direction we might see Trump go in I seriously hope he has to sell his shit. You know, that's what I want to see. Sell your shit. You mean like having kids with subordinate employees? I forgot about that for a hot minute. They do need to vote, but more trends are going upwards. I mean, in OK Life, this is why I talk about my simple 3-step program, right? Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join an organization, right? Whether a union, run for office, a politician that you like. You know, there's a million different progressive, you know, single payer health care, college education. There's a million different progressive organizations that are specific, right? You can join one of those, you know, specific activist groups, whatever that is, put your name down. And then step 3, you actually have to put in the work and actually ask yourself once a month, okay, well, I talk shit on social media. That's great, but that's not enough. I vote. That's not good enough. What am I doing? Okay, I don't have time. Here's $500, right? I'll hit you up next month when I got some time, and then I'll do some phone banking. And, you know, I couldn't make the last March, but I'm going to try to make the next March. Right? Because you're signed up, you'll receive the emails and you'll be like, I got to go to that. Shit. Yeah. Okay. That's tomorrow. I'm going to make a sign for that. It's the nuts and bolts of political activism. That's what Gen Z and Gen Alpha and the millennials need to embrace. It's boring. It's like I constantly make this comparison, but it's like weight loss, right? The Jenny Craigs, the fancy bikes, the fancy videotapes, and the fancy milkshakes. None of that works as well as exercising and eating right. That's the only thing that actually legitimately works, right? But for some reason, it's this human desire. I don't know what it is, but we'd rather, because it's hard, maybe because that's kind of the most painful route. But, you know, it's the same thing with political activism. Everyone's looking, I want another Martin Luther King. I want another cult of personality. I want someone to make this easy. I want a Barack Obama, but who's not a corrupt neoliberal. It's like, well, keep fucking dreaming, man. Because, you know, meanwhile, while we're sitting on our dicks, the fascists are seriously taking and securing power. So let's get to it. And let's this. I mean, that's Trump's entire trajectory is, I just need to finish this climb to the presidency, and then I'll make all of this go away. What's interesting, though, is that in this case specifically, with this $500 million and the E. Jean Carroll, he can't just delay like he is with, you know, and have a Eileen Cannon, you know, corrupt judge that does everything in her power to delay the case and yada yada yada. He can't do that specifically with this. He's got to scrape up the cash. He's been lying about being a billionaire maybe his entire life. He does not have the cash on hand. He does not have the liquid cash on hand, seemingly. He wants to do this bond. It's not going to happen. So we might see some of his property sold, and I certainly hope that's the case. Let's get to it. God, I talk too much.
Tonight, the fate of former President Trump's most famous properties could be up in the air, with Trump attorneys telling a judge he's unable to secure bond in the $464 million civil fraud judgment against him, asking a judge for an emergency stay. Guarantors won't accept real estate as collateral, but want nearly $500 million in cash, which Trump's company doesn't have.
So I have a link that's going to be going into some of their some of the stuff that they're actually doing to subvert our elections. It looks like that link that you sent is very similar. Thank you, Inoke Life. I put it in the Discord politics. I'll watch it later. Thank you.
His lawyers say if he cannot post bond for the full amount by next week, Democratic New York Attorney General Letitia James could start seizing his assets, potentially even his Trump Tower penthouse. In their filing, Trump attorneys argue the penalty is grossly disproportional when there were, quote, no victims, no damages, and no actual financial losses in the case.
You know,
it comes as the Trump
hacks like to go art of the deal, more like art of the steal. But no, it's true, dude. I mean, like, name me another high, celebrity type person that has gone bankrupt more, has grifted more people, has refused to pay more bills. This guy, it's an absolute fucking farce when someone like Rudy Giuliani over here, right? Like, I can't believe he's not paying his bills, or I'm sucking his dick so hard. You know, it's like, bro, I mean, decade after decade after decade of not paying his bills. You know, contractors from decades ago when he was working with the mafia in New York, right, are like, motherfucker still hasn't paid me back, man, right? And yeah, go figure. No one wants to get in bed with this guy, even when hard collateral is like put up. They're like, nope. Because you know why? Because they worry he is legitimately going to become a fascist dictator and make it all go away and find some way to not actually have to pay it, right? That's what they're worried about. They're like, no, dude, this guy might actually become king of America and we're not going to get our money, even though we have a stone cold clad contract, right? He's going to put an AG in charge that's going to fuck everything up, right? Like, we're not going to get our money back. It's hilarious.
Campaign also faces blowback amid Mr. Trump's new inflammatory
That's
rhetoric
so fucking
against
funny to
what
me.
he calls criminal migrants.
They're not people, in my opinion, but
I mean, listen to this. They're not people, in my opinion. I mean, he really is. I mean, like, it is complete, total mask off shit, right? Was Mary Trump correct that the only book he's ever read is Mein Kampf? That can't be real.
Against what he calls criminal migrants.
They're not people, in my opinion, but
They're not people. Man, that's crazy, dog. That's nuts. And just not a blink in the crowd, man. And then he goes, oh, the left doesn't like when I dehumanize. The radical left says that's bad to dehumanize people.
to say that because the radical left says that's a terrible thing to say. These are animals, okay?
Mr. Trump has vowed to bring back his Remain in Mexico policy that keeps migrants waiting outside the U.S. until courts decide their asylum cases. The Biden administration is releasing 85% of migrants into the U.S. while they wait for asylum decisions. And tonight, the presumptive GOP nominee also pushing back, saying Democrats, quote, pretended to be shocked at my use of the word bloodbath during this riff about Chinese car makers.
So his specific use of the word bloodbath was in context to the automotive industry. But he's also saying Mexican immigrants aren't human and criticizing being criticized for dehumanization. So it's okay. It's all right. Okay, yeah. Well, he doesn't, you know, he's totally down for dehumanizing Mexican people. I mean, but the left needs to be specific about this. God, the bloodbath comments, man.
Makers.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line. And you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
Mr. Trump saying he was referring to President Biden allowing imports he says are killing the auto industry. Late tonight, calling Democratic attacks, quote, misinformation.
The word bloodbath. I used it about trade, essentially auto trade.
They're missing.
Because we're getting ripped off with Biden's really dumb
on the bloodbath
auto policy.
The Biden campaign rejecting that it was about only cars.
Every single day, Donald Trump is promoting and endorsing and encouraging political violence.
Look at that, man. And we still got motherfuckers playing games in the chat with that. Oh, he was talking about violent cartel criminals, not immigrants in general. Well, I mean, could you please give me the full context? I'm not going to dig it up, but I will if you provide me with a clip, bunch of Roman numerals and letters. I don't know, what is that? Wait a minute. What does that stand for in Roman numerals, guys? What is that, some Nazi fucking number? Fuck you if it is. But if you provide a full in-context clip, I will show it. There's a difference. Okay, so we got two right-wingers. So can the two right-wing assholes defending this language please provide me the full context clip that points out he was speaking specifically of cartel members? Because it's super fash language otherwise. And also, do these right-wing idiots deny that he is pushing back against criticizing people for using dehumanizing language? That is confirmed. There's no ambiguity about that. That's not taken out of context. He's literally saying, people, the radical left criticized me for using dehumanizing language. Is that being denied?
On the stump.
Shut alert.
And Garrett, NBC News also has new reporting tonight about President.
Oh, we're not doing this. We're not doing either of these. We're not. No thanks. Moving on. Thanks Thanks so much. Oh, God. Here we go. So the first minute... It's so bad I did it twice. Apparently Ben Shapiro thinks retirement is stupid. Isn't that great, Student Dead? Just letting us know exactly what we can expect when these authoritarians take over, right? The kind of, slaves we're going to become, to their little tyrannies. They think they'll be on top. What they don't see, because they're running their own little, Fash network, bent key and all that. What they don't realize is that with all the regulations removed, they're going to be, aggressively taken over and swallowed up by, larger entities. And, Ben Shapiro over here, if he wants a job, is going to have to do and say things that he disagrees with. He doesn't see that part. He thinks he's going to be the Mussolini. All these right-wingers from small time to big time, they think they're going to be the kings of their kingdoms, their fiefdoms, when they've removed all the restrictions. So I need to apologize, Rachel Maddow. I'm sorry. It's true. She's insufferable, unbearable. She spent the first minute and a half blowing Alexei Navalny without mentioning that he is a white supremacist who totally and not just like they found a fucking they found a book in his bookshelf. No, he led speeches with their equivalent of Nick Fuentes or Charlie Kirk in the back cheering him on. He was asked, "Do you disagree with the white supremacists and the people that are in here?" All these people, I agree with all these people, he said. Could have been taken out of context. Sure. It was a 90-second Twitter clip. But pretty sure Homeboy is a white supremacist. I've never seen the West. I mean, they described this guy as pro-democracy. And I'm pretty sure he was 100% down with the Crimean invasion. So Rachel Maddow gleefully pretending to be ignorant about Alexei Navalny to support Joe Biden's optics. Great job, rogue scholar Rachel. Well, she did use the $1 million MSNBC apparatus to do something worth a damn. And what the value of this video and why I'm showing it to you and making you suffer through Rachel Maddow is that I keep talking about how Arizona, Texas, Kentucky, all these places, they're doing much more than gerrymandering. They're changing little laws here and there that basically allow them to change the results of elections locally and federally. Okay? Legitimate fascism, legitimate disintegration, dismantling of, take your vote and put it right in the trash. So random bunch of letters and numbers who hates immigrants. I asked you specifically for a specific clip of you because you said Trump was taken out of context, and you provide some bullshit. Is that a tweet from Elon fucking Musk? Are you? Okay, I see. All right. Well, thank you so much for wasting everyone's time. I don't suffer fools, homie. I asked for a specific thing. You want to hang out in my chat, you want to spread your propaganda, you're going to follow my rules and you're going to do what I say, or you're going to get the fuck out, bitch. I asked you. You said Trump was being taken out of context. He was speaking specifically about cartel members. I asked you for context. You provided an Elon Musk tweet, you fucking idiot. Elon Musk is not an authority on the fucking truth. Quite the opposite. So get the fuck out of my chat, you waste of space. Moving on. Like I said, Rachel Maddow here spent resources from MSNBC to do something worth a damn, and she's cataloged several specific examples of what I am talking about, how right-wingers who have taken over local governments across the United States and, are doing exactly what we're seeing with Judge Eileen Cannon, right? With Mitch McConnell installing a bunch of partisans, and the exact plan, what we see with Trump and the RNC, and the exact plan of Project 2025. which is not exactly gut and destroy these agencies, but replace these agencies, heads, the people that are in charge, with pathetic, bootlicking, right-wing sycophants. So let's go ahead and watch a little of this, as much as we can stand. Bring your fucking barf bags, because here we go. The rogue scholar is going to give us a lesson.
When you start doing that, when you start...
I'm already sick of it. God, I'm sick of it. Her delivery, the whole thing, man, is like wrapped up in a like a package from Target. You know what I mean? All cloying and pretending to be nice. It's got like, hey, cool, and other like language on the fucking packaging, pretending to be human.
Turning elections into these Potemkin affairs, it doesn't really matter if you've done anything formal to announce or mark your transition into something other than a democracy. Once you have a situation where the vote in advance is determined to be irrelevant, so that whatever happens, whatever the voters do, there's only one possible result. Once you have that, you're kind of there, right? You are no longer in a real democracy. You may remember that after Election Day in 2020, when Joe Biden had decisively won the state of Michigan by over 150,000 votes, you might remember 2 Republican officials briefly refused to certify those election results in largely Democratic counties. Then Republicans in one county in Georgia, another state Joe Biden won, they also refused to certify election results in part of that state as well. That county's refusal to certify the results was used as evidence in a draft executive order Trump never issued, an order that would have commanded the seizing of voting machines across the country as a prelude to the military running some sort of...
This was stuff that they've tried and got away with. There's no crackdown. There's no going. I mean, some of these people, in Georgia, there's been some election interference cases here and there, but there's been no major national crackdown, on these criminals.
Redo of the whole election because something had gone wrong the first time around and it appeared that Trump didn't win. Those local attempts at invalidating election results in 2020, those were effectively improvised responses to Trump losing that election. This next time around in 2024, elections officials, Republican election officials, seem like they are more planning it out in advance this time.
Yeah.
This is the headline on new reporting published today in Rolling Stone. Quote, potential 2024 chaos. Election deniers refusing to certify results. Quote, in at least 15 instances since November 2020, local Republican officials in 8 different states have refused to certify election results.
Yeah.
If local
and what they want is exactly what J.D. Vance talks about when he talks about, oh, well, what should have happened? What should have Mike Pence done? Well, Mike Pence should have not certified the results and allowed it to come back and enter into some, like, they want to turn it into the budget process, right? Where it's like, oh, we're not gonna pay the bills. We're not gonna pay the bills unless you pass this extremely draconian right-wing legislation. So they want to turn the election into that, where it's like, okay, well, maybe he didn't win here, but he should win here, and we should negotiate. They want to negotiate a democratic election. They want to mire it down and turn these into these big protracted cases, right? And of course, with the hope that a bunch of right-wing judges and a bunch of right-wing people will be involved in that process and will rubber stamp it for one side. It's madness. It's madness, and it's exactly what fascists do, which is they make a mockery of our systems and our democracies, taking full advantage of whatever they can, right? So this is them making a democratic decision. These people were voted in, and these are changes that are being approved by their Democratic constituency, right? So this is all legal. It's just like a certain 1940s government administration, all legal. With the direct result being the complete turning your vote, turning our democracy into a legitimate farce. Thank you, stickers. That seems like a racist name. Sorry. Got to be really careful on Twitch, man. A lot of extremely I'm sorry if you're not a racist person there, but I got to be so careful to get, you know, with the numbers and the slogans and the God. I can't even say people's names half the time.
Officials nationwide decide en masse to refuse to certify election results this year. It could slow certification of statewide tallies, crucial to determining the next president.
Yeah.
It could create chaos,
as well
as a false basis for trying to find some way to challenge the outcome of the November election. Local Republican elections officials in some of these cases over the last few years have demanded audits and hand recounts. And then even when all the audits and recounts show the same results, they've still...
Well, as much as I despise right-wingers and right-wing politics, I can't advocate for killing them. I think that's not the right direction the left should be going in.
Refused to certify the election.
It's from Australia.
Because it's not about what the voters have actually voted for. It's about setting up a system that can deliver only one possible result. This is the way it works in many parts of the world. It has not been the way it works here. They're trying to change that. And we've got more on that story next. Stay with me. Rolling Stone today, reporter Justin Glaw reports on election officials across the country in Republican-controlled states.
So then they do an interview with this fella here from Rolling Stone about what she was talking about and what I'm talking about. So if you want to see more of these specific details, but please don't take me for a fool, don't take me for an idiot, and certainly don't take me as a libertarian like Davey. Please don't take me as these things, okay? Because what I'm trying to do is provide evidence for my extremely hyperbolic comments and behavior. Because it seems like this guy's flying off the handle. It can't be this bad. Like America's been through challenges before. America's been through challenges before, right? But it's not this bad. No, it is this bad. It's like this, and we've actually never been through this specifically before. We're actually in. That's what makes this even more scary. There's a few tangential connections with the past here and there, but no, we're really in new territory here, and being in that new territory is so frightening to me. It really is frightening. But no, Australia kicks ass. Can we just make that very clear? But it's just, look, I try to stay consistent. I don't think violence is the answer for political activism. I don't think that works. I do think violence will be brought upon us, but I do think at every opportunity for the moral high ground to be taken, the progressive left, the activist left, needs to try to find that moral high ground, and using violence, even when it's violence against you, it's so easily weaponized, right? It's so easily weaponized. So I don't mean to make fun of the person's name. I'm sure they're very cool. They probably already left. Hey, speaking of a fun person, motherfucking Jon Stewart's back, y'all. We love it. Look, he's not perfect, right? He did his first show back. He made sure to dig into Joe Biden a little bit, but is he really going to push back against the gerontocracy of the DNC and the failure of the neoliberals until after the election? After the election, yeah, obliterate, TYT, HQ, Rebel HQ, homo progressives, obliterate. Bacteria will take our place. The bacteria from the back rooms. So, like I said, it will be after the election when Jon Stewart shits on Joe Biden if he loses. It will not be before. He's not gonna, because really, and I kind of get why. Look at what Cornel West, Marianne Williamson. Look, I'm sorry, it's just not. Cornel West had a real opportunity if he had the right. Maybe next cycle, right? When Cornel West is fresh on people's minds as an electoral candidate and he comes out strong against Joe Biden directly, not in Jimmy Dore's party, not in the Green Party, none of blah, 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 but as a fucking Democrat, I know it's stinky poo-poo, okay, but we got, if we want to change the system, we have to do it from the inside. We can never expect the current crop of Republicans and Democrats to change our electoral college to allow for third parties to be viable. So stop sitting on your fucking dick and get in here so we can fucking change the system. Okay? Lefties who don't strategically vote and throw their vote away. And I'm not saying that's you, woke patriot, because you were in a safe district when you made your decision. But you know what I mean? Oh, is Hakeem Jeff, is that a hot thing on his agenda? Making sure third parties are viable in the electoral college across the nation? I don't think so. So quit waiting for it. Greens, anarchists, commies. Quit waiting for it. And yeah, stop throwing your vote away if you do live in a strategic district, right? Vote smart. Vote smart. Woke Patriot over here denying that first past the post creates a system where votes can be wasted. I understand people are still bitter about Ralph Nader. Okay? But the fact is that we have a first past the post system that creates an inequity in our elections where votes can be in a way wasted. And what we need is reform to a real ranked choice voting system. But what is Woke Patriot saying that we're going to get that by supporting the status quo? We're going to get ranked choice voting by supporting Hakeem Jeffries and the DNC slavishly? Or should we strategically vote against them in the primaries when we have an opportunity to replace these neoliberals with real progressives? So tired of these crusty ass lefties who gave up on politics 20 years ago, giving us advice on how to change things. Yeah, just give up. I don't think so. Jon Stewart, he's funny.
What would you do if you were out of governing ideas? If you didn't know how to govern a country of this magnitude and a country of this diversity, and you basically are running on government is broken, and then when you get in office, you have to be terrible to prove the original premise, like, it must be great to be able to do that. This government doesn't work, and by me not funding it and breaking it, see what I told you? Keep me in power.
You know, this is the perfect description of how the Republican Party operates and continues to have so much power today. Jon Stewart is about to take things one step further.
If you don't have ideas on governing, what do? Well, you do the purposeful distortion field that they create.
But it works,
and by the way,
right, because it's emotional.
Does it work?
I don't know.
Who's the president?
Well, but
I mean, it doesn't necessarily work. It gets people upset. It gets them angry. It makes them fearful about threats and hyperbole, and makes them afraid of things that can't even really be defined. Meanwhile, ignoring so many issues. All this diversity initiatives and CRT and all those other things are only there because we refuse to actually fix the real problem. The diversity and equity initiatives are a salve. They're to pacify and mollify, because we won't actually do the real thing. We won't actually dismantle the vestiges of all the systemic racism and all the systemic classism and all the systemic gender issues. We won't actually dismantle that. But what we will do is, you can have an office in the building, and every few months, we're going to have to sit and listen to you talk for like an hour. And so we're good, right?
Stewart is spot on again. Culture war issues are just tools for the powerful to wield and shepherd us toward whatever political stance is the hot topic of conversation at the moment. Why do they do it? To solidify their own power, perpetuating the vicious circle that is American politics.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch a state, you talked about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. It's hard to watch a state that's like 48th in, infant mortality and child poverty and literacy,
and
make a big deal about a trans girl that wants to play soccer that happens like once every 5 years there. Like, it's hard to not be angry about people that try and distract from the real things that people face with weaponized nonsense.
So let's look at the two political parties and discuss what's so similar. No real vested interest in attacking the roots of all.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to show that Jon Stewart. I'm sure Sharon Reed here is really wonderful. Sorry, Sharon Reed. But I just wanted to show that Jon Stewart clip. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Moving on to our final bit of U.S. news. Some call for Nebraska state senator to resign following Monday's debate. So, this is shocking, absolutely shocking, and this is just, it really shows the state of the crop of candidates from the current Republican Conservative Party. This guy is really, I mean, it's unbelievable. I just got to show you this debate. It's like it'll leave you speechless. It really will. I mean, I was shocked. It's hard for me to even put words to how I feel about it, because it's like, wow, like there's no bottom. There's just no, like when you've really truly embraced shamelessness as like a way of life, and you've made all the justifications, you have that framework set up, to justify your abhorrent behavior. There's just really no bottom. There's just really no bottom. Watch this.
With just 15 days left in the session, Nebraska lawmakers adjourned early tonight.
It comes after one lawmaker used pornographic language on the Senate floor during a debate over an obscenity bill.
KTV News Watch 7's Bill Shammert's on the live desk with this. Bill.
Rob, Julie, Senator Steve Halloran from Central Nebraska read an excerpt from Lucky by Alice Sebold. He says he wanted to show an example of books that can be found in some school libraries. But while reading that excerpt, he inserted the name of Senator Kavanaugh. The book is about a young woman who was raped.
He kicked me and I crawled into a ball. I want to Senator Kavanaugh.
Colleagues, that was beyond the pale. That was harassing.
This was during debate over LB 441, which is an obscenity bill. It made it out of committee and was on the first of 3 rounds of voting. But after hours of discussion, no vote was taken. According to the bill's introducer, Senator Joni Albright, it repeals the prosecution exemption for schools that provide obscene materials to students in K through 12th grades. Albright says she was mortified by the language used.
There's times when we just have to step back from the debate, and I think this is one of those times. So I do support the motion to adjourn.
And within the last hour, multiple people are calling for Senator Halloran's resignation. That includes Senators Julie Slama and Megan Hunt, and the head of Nebraska's Democratic Party, Jane Klebb, posting tonight, "This is a pattern and not a one-off comment." Senator Halloran is term limited after this year. Back to you.
Thank you, Bill.
He's term limited. That's interesting. Good. So it's interesting. He's trying to get this book banned. He's trying to say, and it's really amazing to me, because what the end, we've heard of these people. I don't know if you've seen this headline. I saw this insane headline. It might have been a fake headline, but there was this couple who didn't realize that they had to have sex to have a baby, and it seems insane. It seems impossible until you've gotten a little peek into right-wing communities, into religious right-wing communities, and the complete avoidance of any discussion of sex will leave their kids having bizarre ideas about procreation, and massive ignorances, big gaps of information that they just normal common knowledge about human body anatomy will not be taught because of their pseudo puritanical values. And I say pseudo because even the Puritans, I think, taught their teenage girls about periods. And it's shocking to me that Republicans would want their daughters to be more vulnerable to victimization, right? They don't want them to be exposed to the possibility, hey, because the story is about an 18-year-old girl who is, just chilling by herself in the park, and some guy, comes up, assaults her, beats her, and then rapes her. And it's like, no, let's not, let's leave our girls vulnerable to this. I'm not saying like let's fearmonger and instill fear into them, but it's a very real reality for a lot of young women every single day who are sexually assaulted in various ways, sometimes brutally, sometimes in very mild ways. But all of it's inexcusable. And it's amazing to me that Republicans would want their precious daughters, I assume they consider them precious, to be so goddamn vulnerable, to be so ignorant, to be so naive. Oh, we can't tell you this is it's pornographic. Pornographic. So then he would do something so horrible as to put the woman who is trying to warn young women, hey, this is a story about a young woman who was victimized, she you should, learn from her mistakes, learn from her story. She's trying to help women, young women, and not trying to spread pornography in any kind of way. And it's just shocking. It's just there is no bottom. There is no bottom for their, whatever they're rejecting. And I bet you this guy doesn't even believe in this. He doesn't even really. You think this guy is some kind of pious, this Halloran fella, he's some kind of pious, God loving. You think when he goes home, he's living by all the tenets. He's a Ned Flanders when he goes home. Some of these guys are real true believers like that. But I get the feeling that Halloran's not exactly living by the tenets of his teachings. He doesn't. What I'm trying to say is these people are nihilists. They don't believe in this is a tool. This is a political tool for control. The people that vote for him, this is the stuff that they want to see. I bet Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk absolutely loved his speech. Thought it was great. Nick Fuentes over here pumping the air. All right, folks. Keeping this train moving. Streaming for an hour and a half. Should be able to get through the rest of these stories. We don't have too many more, but we're going to try to blast through them here. Going to cover some Ukraine now. Russia, Ukraine, and the ongoing occupation of Crimea. This is a long video I do not have time for today, but I will find time for it very soon. It's produced by DW. Excellent video, and we will be watching it, just going over the the real start of the conflict for Ukraine, at least. It started, even sooner for Georgia. But the Donbass, I think, actually was technically first before Crimea, right? So I take that back. But, people often think it was the invasion that, was the start of the war. But that was not the case. But we're going to get back to this video soon. Wanted to show this one here. Russians still, this is shameful, and make sure you add these companies to the list of companies you're not going to go to. I know I'm going to pay more attention. I'm not going to be going to Subway. I'm not going to be going to several of the companies here that I see on this list, and I'll be listing them off. But Russians still enjoying American burgers and sandwiches as companies refuse to leave. Part of the problem right here, and make sure you punish them. And look at some of these big names here. Absolutely disgusting food, but Subway, McDonald's, Burger King, Carl's Jr., business operating in Russia. So we thought McDonald's left. In fact, we saw Russia implement some kind of clone McDonald's. There's Chem Goblin with a full list. I mean, this is comprehensive, and this is like overwhelming, actually. This is so over. This list is overwhelming with, as you can see here. And I actually said I promised I would put this on my my auto chat thing, so I need to do that. Right here. Try to remind me to do that. Get a bot to tell people to check out this link, but as you can see here, it's exhaustive list, and it's all the. I mean, it really is a shameful list of companies that you'd absolutely recognize. L'Oreal here, so shampoo, soaps, that kind of stuff, and it's like I don't want to look. I would rather a Russian person not get, neutral fructis to put in their hair than have to resort to blowing up their oil refineries to get them to stop. You know what I mean? Like, if this is the choice between boots on the ground, blowing people up, or them not getting some soap from L'Oreal, right? I think that choice is easy because doing nothing is not an option. Westinghouse, big company here. You probably have several appliances in your house from Westinghouse. Just goes on and on. Bacardi, shameful. Bacardi, get charged way too much for our shitty fucking vodka at a bar near you. Boy, raise your hand if you've paid way too much for a Bacardi cocktail at your local bar. Studio Ghibli, really? Oh, that's shameful. So we got McDonald's, Domino's, Starbucks, KFC, Pizza Hut, Hard Rock Cafe, and the Jamie Oliver Group have all since left Russia. Okay. No, so these are chains that have left Russia. Smaller cohort. Okay, so I was mistaken. Sorry. These are hashtags for the algorithm. I was wrong. Correction. Eat your Big Macs. Eat your disgusting Domino's pizza, one of the worst pizza chains in America. Go ahead and have that. Drink your disgusting Starbucks coffee, which screws over the people of Ethiopia. KFC, literally the worst fried chicken you could eat in the world. Literally grease attached to a chicken bone. Pizza Hut, I mean, do I even need to say this? Disgusting. Go ahead, keep eating your disgusting Pizza Hut. Hard Rock Cafe, the worst, most overpriced cafe you could go to. I swear to God. Disgusting, generic carnival food with a bunch of tchotchkes on the wall, and they charge you $30 extra for a side of fries. Yeah. Oh, thank you for sticking around. It's terrible. It's I've been to one like twice, and I was like, this is terrible. Like, I don't care. You got a signed T-shirt from Sylvester Stallone in a glass case in your lobby. Your burgers are disgusting. And the Jamie Oliver Group, whatever. I got nothing negative to say about this guy who wants your children to eat right. So they're cool. Eat that garbage. A small cohort of 6 American fast food chains decided otherwise, so here's the garbage you should not eat. Subway. Carl's Jr. Disgusting. Subway's disgusting. Remember when Subway was sued because their meat did not contain enough actual animal protein to be considered legally meat? Remember that? Papa John's. I had Papa John's pizza a couple weeks ago. No more. Off the menu. I did not know this. I apologize. Papa John's is the worst. Is the least worst, in my opinion, the least worst trash pizza. No more Papa John's. Never again. Not until they change the stance. Cutting that shit out. It's garbage anyway. Literally. Costa coffee. That's probably a lot of coffee. Burger King, absolute trash. Who wants to eat at Burger King? The shit that they put in their burger, that fake grill flavor that they still put in their burger. I remember when they introduced that. That was like a decade ago when they introduced that. It's still trash. You burp it up. It's terrible. Never eat there again. TGI Fridays. I mean, do I even need to tell you not to eat at TGI Fridays? I don't even think I need to tell you that. I'm surprised this operation is still open. Terrible food, TGI Fridays. Disgusting. And then, of course, that list that thank you so much, that Kem Goblin provided. Anyway, I just wanted an opportunity to shit on these fast food chains. It's always fun. Even though I eat there way too much. Let's show some pretty Russians eating French fries. That's a great idea. All right, moving on. Norman Finkelstein's officially on my shit list. We will not be featuring any more comments, statements, documentaries featuring Norman Finkelstein. I knew he was a Ukraine skeptic. I had no idea he made such bold, blunt, and ignorant statements as this. Once again, just adding him to the list of, fake lefties. I haven't really found a better term for these guys, but these, Code Pink, Medea Benjamin, Roger Waters lefty celebrities that were carrying gallons and gallons of water for the Russian Empire, and then on a fucking dime, like a laser beam reflecting off a mirror, all of a sudden they give a shit about innocent civilians in Gaza and Palestine. So a couple days ago, I featured a debate, just showed a single clip really of Destiny debating Norman Finkelstein. Destiny saying that Israel could drop a nuke on Gaza, and he's still not sure if that would be considered officially genocide. And of course, he was speaking in a semantic way because that's the way he loves that. He loves the, well, technically it wouldn't be considered a genocide according to this body of government, blah, 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 blah. That kind of shit. That really makes the left look really smart and astute, and really sets the left up right when we look like pedantic assholes. Right, so I featured that debate with Lex, featured by Lex Friedman, who I've never really enjoyed. So I would just like to put, underneath Destiny's name on my shit list, we're gonna go ahead and just put Norman Finkelstein as well. And look, Norman, it's really quite a shame because I've featured Finkelstein probably dozens of times. He's been incredibly articulate, astute, and correct when explaining the situation in Palestine. And it once again, it makes me wonder, it's like, what, how could someone be so correct about their assessment of the human rights disaster in Palestine, and then like I said, like a laser beam bouncing off a mirror, right? Make the statements that he made about Ukraine here. Russia had the right to invade Ukraine. I mean, that's outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous. There was literally an agreement when Ukraine gave up their nuclear weapons. Please don't invade us. Yep, no problem. I'm sure Norman Finkelstein would have a nice 15-minute academic diatribe on why that agreement didn't really matter. But no, just so everybody knows, he's officially on my shit list. Fuck you, Norman Finkelstein, man. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. They deserve independence. They don't deserve to be absorbed by Russia. The Ukrainians shouldn't have to be forced to learn the Russian language. They shouldn't have to have their towns, and signposts changed to Russia. And I mean, just fill in the blank. There's a million different things that the Ukrainian people are going to be forced to do. They might not, their country might not even be called Ukraine if this invasion were to be completed. We've heard chatter about that. Let's change the name. Let's completely erase the identity of this, right? It was like, well, we gave you a chance. We gave you a chance to be a vassal state like Belarus. Oh, well, you were naughty. You tried to do your own democracy and you wanted true independence. We're going to quash that. Norman Finkelstein thinks that's great. It's pathetic. And that he's supposed to be an authority on Palestinian human rights when he can't even be consistent. Man, it's really, Noam Chomsky, all these motherfuckers I used to love, dude. Richard Wolff. Used to love these guys. You know how many Noam Chomsky books I got, dude? I got so many Noam Chomsky books. This is just two. This is just two of them. I got like 3 or 4 more. I wanted to throw them away, but I want to read through them and figure out, okay, what, how was I so wrong about this guy? Now that I understand history a little bit better, I'm going to read through them one more time before I throw them away. But I'm going to throw those fucking books away. Because fuck you, Noam Chomsky. Making excuses, carrying water for the Russian Empire. What the fuck? Look, I get it. NATO's not your buddy. NATO's an extension of the U.S. empire. I get that. But we have to completely deny the empiretic ambitions of the Russian Empire to acknowledge the crimes of the U.S. empire. It's one or the other. It's a binary thing, either Russia innocent or the United States. It's a pretty big discrepancy, woke patriot. What I mean, you just turn a blind eye to the suffering of one democracy. It's a pretty damn big discrepancy. But don't you dare give me shit, because I'm going to go through these books and I'm going to try to find out how much of it is garbage, how much of it is legit. I'm not a goddamn genius linguistics professor either. These are dense reads. It's just incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing. Why isn't Trailhead showing up in my list here? How come Trailhead isn't showing up here? 1 second. Let me take a look at this. Filtering? Yeah, hold on. Let's see. Is it in here? Oh my God. Thing sucks. Oh yeah, I did remove Trailhead. All right, fine. You can come back for now. We'll see. We'll see about Trailhead. I told Trailhead unless Trailhead can acknowledge, has the strength of character to acknowledge that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was illegal, to not even bother coming back. So Trailhead, why don't you tell us right now so I can reapply your ban right now? Why don't you tell us, is Russia justified in invading Ukraine? Do you have the strength of character to admit that, or are you a punk-ass bitch like Norman Finkelstein and Noam Chomsky and Roger Waters and Medea Benjamin? Trailhead, answer the question. NATO fucked around and Russia has no right. Answer the question, Trailhead. No, they don't. Thank you very much. Enjoy the news underground. Moving on to the next last story pertaining to Ukraine. Wanted to point out that it's not just the United States sharpening their spears, creating war, getting ready for war, or there is a legitimate fear amongst European nations that Russia, China, out of control, emboldened by what they see as a weak Western alliance that doesn't seem to be able to work together. Right? There's a legitimate fear there. Of course, they don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, obviously, but they're like, we don't want to be caught with our pants down. They think there's probably statistically higher. Their mathematicians or whatever are telling them, oh yeah, well, there's an X amount chance that Russia might invade a NATO country. X amount chance that Russia might actually use a nuke, to force some kind of response. But anyway, just wanted to point out, European Council President Charles Michel, quote, Europe must prepare for war. Pretty strong words. If Europe wants to exist in peace, by the way, this is the Kyiv Independent, by the way, so grain of salt. If Europe wants to exist in peace, it must shift to a quote-unquote war economy mode and significantly bolster defense capabilities in the face of the threat posed by Russia, European Council President Charles Michel said on March 18th. In an op-ed published in several European newspapers, Michel said U.S. support could no longer be taken for granted, and EU countries needed to be take responsibility for their own security as they grapple with the biggest security challenge since Second World War. Quote, if we do not get the EU's response right and do not give Ukraine enough support to stop Russia, we are next. We must therefore be defense ready and shift to a war economy mode, he wrote. So I don't, next, I don't know about that. Poland, I don't know about that. Belarusia, yeah. Moldova, you betcha. Georgia, yeah. after Ukraine, right? Poland, I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? But Putin over here winning the election 87%. Right? Not even trying to pretend to have a legitimate election. That's delusional dictator territory. That's frightening to me, right? It's a legitimization ceremony, ritual, legitimization ritual, really, that he feels is still necessary, but at the same time, any leader, dictator happy with 87%, that worries me. I don't know. It's just bro science. I'm pulling this out of my ass, but it just worries me that a leader that delusional is still, like, you know, in power. Russia is a serious military threat for our European continent and global security. If we do not get the EU's response right and do not give Ukraine enough support to stop Russia, we are next, he added. So that is, you know, if we want peace, we must prepare for war. This is the exact opposite thing. You know, I marched against this. You know what I mean? Against the Iraq war, against Afghanistan war, against, we want to slow down. We want to slow down the proliferation of weapons. We want to stop this. But we have no control over Russia. We have no control over Russia. I don't feel comfortable saying that if NATO wasn't NATO and NATO didn't act the way that it did, Russia wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. I don't think that's true. Russia didn't invade Ukraine because of NATO. Russia invaded Ukraine because of their burgeoning independence, their democracy. Russia was perfectly happy with Ukraine being basically a vassal state, very similar to Belarusia, right? Just some, oh, sure, you got your own name, that's cute, but you're the people that are in charge, Belarus. But the people that are in charge are basically, Russia connected, some way, they're basically holding down control, and that's okay. That's the kind of independence that you're allowed to have. But no, with Zelensky, overwhelming popularity of Zelensky, and then of course the Constitution changes that said specifically we want to join NATO, which said specifically we want independence from Russia, true, real independence. But I mean, it wasn't the NATO, it was the independence. The reason why they're against NATO is because it offers real independence. It's off the chart. It's off the I guess maybe I'm convincing myself, because I guess maybe technically, if that's true, then maybe it is technically true that. But no, because if NATO wasn't part of the Constitution in Ukraine, the Zelensky election and the burgeoning democracy and the separation, the independence of Ukraine, regardless of whether they put NATO in the Constitution, Russia still would have done something. They would have done something. I mean, who knows if they would have done a full-blown invasion? Maybe they would have tried to do a more targeted coup. But it was Ukraine's independence that was the threat to Russia. And yeah, NATO is not far behind. But even if NATO, though, what I'm trying to say is that NATO, because NATO is part of the Ukrainian Constitution, right? That was a reform that was made. And Chem Goblin, please correct me if I'm wrong. Was that a reform that was made during Zelensky's first couple years in charge? Right? So I don't think if that was left out completely, we would still have Russia doing something about having more control over Ukraine. Full-blown invasion? I mean, who knows? But that's so fucked up though, right? Because that's it's Ukraine's right to join NATO. You know, it's Finland's and Sweden's right to join NATO. China doesn't have a right to invade Finland because they disagree with Finland's decision to join a military alliance. It's outrageous. You know, that's like the United States punishing Iran, right, for its military alliances that it doesn't like. All right, I guess I've talked myself in pretzels enough on this subject right here, but it's just like, you know, it's tough to talk about this though, because NATO is not an innocent organization. NATO is absolutely 100%. I'm not arguing this. NATO was 100% acting belligerently towards Russia. You don't put missiles on the border of a country and, oh, we're just doing it for us. Just make us feel better. Okay, and the classic example is, well, what if Russia had a military alliance with Mexico or Canada, you know, and put what if Russia put missiles on the Mexican border, pointed at the United States and said, well, it's just for us, just make us feel better. We're all going to sit and chill about that. We're going to be really chill about that in America. Really? So it's hard to talk about this though, because NATO is not squeaky clean, all innocent. We just want world peace, right? But you know, what do you do with a maniac like Putin, who does the stupidest thing geopolitically that you could do if you hate NATO, and you just go ahead and make NATO super correct? You just, yep, 100% nailed it, fucking nailed it. You just do exactly what NATO wants you to do. And that's exactly what Putin did. What do you do with that? You can't throw away, you can't just ignore the criticisms of NATO being an extension of the U.S. military-industrial complex and the U.S. empire. You can't just throw that away. But here we have the boogeyman that, you know, that for decades, you know, and people were buying into it. Germany was buying into it. Sweden and Finland were buying into this idea that Russia, hey, maybe Russia's not so bad. Maybe we should close some of these NATO bases. Maybe we should reduce the pressure on Russia so that we can, you know, accept them into the international community and stop being belligerent against Russia. Right? It's just difficult to talk about some of this stuff, because I want to be anti-war, but I can't be consistent on that. I'm not a pacifist. I don't believe in victimization. I don't believe in bullying. I don't think you can stick a gun in someone's face and force them to do something against their will. I don't think that's morally correct. I want to do everything within my power to avoid war, but there's no avoiding this. It's, you know, like I said, what do you do with a character like Putin, who brings it right to your front? You walks right up to your face and punches you. Is what you going to do about it? Woke Patriot there, just giving us some knowledge about. I mean, I'm sure as a lefty, you know, I don't know if you're a communist, Woke Patriot, but you know, a deep lefty like Woke Patriot, you should be following. You would have been following NATO pretty closely the last couple decades. And it's so crazy to me, man, because this argument, it's like Russia never truly believed any of it. And they truly never believed it, and they actually did not know how convincing their argument was. Like, people, NATO was like not popular pre-invasion. It was not a popular organization. There were a lot of big countries, like I said, Germany, who was like, NATO should back the fuck up, right? If we want to be honest actors here, we want to stop lying to ourselves. NATO should back up. And all of that, like a 180, Germany reignited their military industrial complex that they haven't since World War II. They had a small defense budget, but they like quintupled it. Now they're like, oh yeah, no, we need to make missiles, artillery shells, armor, guns. you know, I don't know. Maybe they know something we don't, guys. I don't know. Maybe the entire European Union knows something we don't. I don't know, guys. It's funny, right? Some countries will shock you sometimes with their competency, and then other times utterly appall you with their incompetency. And and you're like, how can these two things be the same? How can you pump out a vaccine in less than a year and save save hundreds of millions of lives with this life-changing vaccine? Normally takes 5-10 years to create a vaccine. You can do that, but you can't, remove the filibuster bill. Or the filibuster. We can't remove the filibuster. It's just, how are these two things true? Nothing is true. Everything is funny. Thank you for that follow, Simon. Germany only contributed 1% GDP to NATO, even though they committed 2%. Who fucking cares? What, do you agree with Emperor Flumpy Tumpy that it's cool? It's cool for a country to attack a NATO country if they don't pay their bills. With that said, I do think those obligations should be met, but I'm not tripping about it. I'm not fucking tripping about it. All right. Speaking of tripping, let's move on to Haiti. I got to get through this. I got to take care of my kid. Hey, babe, how much time do I have? Okay, maybe 20 more minutes. Try to zip through this. But I wanted to do an update on Haiti. The gang violence has reached, some of the more, as they call them, upscale areas. And it's funny that these areas are considered upscale because they look like the buildings look terrible and everyone is dressed. I guess upscale means they have access to washers and dryers. This is so crazy. What who decided these are upscale? Who's describing these as upscale is what I want to know. Just to your point that they let their priorities shift. Sure, yeah, okay, thank you, Trailhead. Yeah, you're just trying to make I'm just trying to say, there was a really growing consensus that NATO needs to be a much more honest actor pertaining to Russia if we're ever going to have, this world peace. But people were still, the world was still accepting this lie that NATO was a peaceful organization that wasn't belligerent and acting belligerent, was acting defensively. Everyone was buying that lie, whether they believed it or not. But all that's out the window, and that decades of legitimate criticism against that, like I said, extension of the military-industrial complex of the United States is all thrown away. I mean, just and as a leftist, how the hell can you stay consistent and anti-war when you got characters like Putin running around, fucking cartoon villains basically with their own version of history? Not totally right, Dave. And here comes, and this is the problem, right? Because then we got American exceptionalist libertarians like Davey over here, fully ready to take advantage of the situation and say, NATO was 100% retroactively correct in all of its actions. And it's like, no. And NATO is littered with mistakes and all kinds of problems. But there is a point to be made there that what was criticized as hyperbolic actions and unnecessary aggression was 100% correct. So now as a leftist, I got to go all the way back. I got to fucking completely reformat the NATO part of my brain and completely go through the whole history of NATO again to figure out, okay, what were they right about and what were they wrong about? What's the totality of that? Vladimir Putin over here ruining my life. It does bother me that I'm not quite sure how to feel about NATO anymore. It does bother me, and I need to get in there. Am I going to cover Haiti at all? Yes, sorry. Here we go. Sorry. Haiti. But no, the gang attacks have reached upscale areas. I feel really bad for this woman. That's definitely crying because and there's a covered up dead body there. That's someone so these are these are barbecue gangs, right? They come in, shoot up the joint mercilessly. It's surprising though that I haven't seen much video. Get the blur ready. Sure. Oh, this poor guy. Yeah, so as you can see here, bodies loaded up. No, woke patriot. See, and that's incorrect as well. And you know, to defend Davey over here, woke patriot is incorrect as well. That, you know, oh well, if NATO was disbanded, then we wouldn't see. That's not the case. If NATO never existed, we might still be seeing this exact scenario play out with Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, extremely sad. Absolutely, Lenny. Just wanted to show that quick 60-second clip of just some raw footage there from the AP. But let's get into CNN giving us an update of what's happening on the ground. CNN finally got off its ass, by the way, and sent a reporter down there a couple days ago.
Feels post-apocalyptic.
This is basically the aftermath.
Yeah, woke patriot. Thank you for that.
Driving through the battlegrounds between gangs and police, we dodge massive craters and piles of burning trash.
No, woke patriot, you're fucking wrong. Because, like I said, Russia was not threatened by Ukraine joining NATO. They were threatened by Ukraine demanding independence and having a legitimate democracy. And God forbid Ukraine start flourishing more and having more trade agreements with the West than Russia, and it starts flourishing more and more than Russia. No, it wasn't about NATO. It was about Ukraine showing that, you know, working with the rest of the world is actually more profitable than being a curmudgeon gas station like Russia is. So no, if NATO was closed, you know, was shut down soon after World War II, no, this might still have been happening. It might have been different, though. It might not have been a full-scale invasion. Like I said, it might have been a more, you know, targeted at Zelensky, and there might have been more factions that were, you know, less willing. Because like the invasion, it was like, okay, are you Ukrainian or are you Russian? Right? And you have to make a decision. But if there's no invasion, then you can start factioning. Oh, what do I get out of it? Corrupt politicians siding with Russia over Ukraine, that kind of shit. It might not have been a full-scale invasion, but Ukraine's independence would have been challenged by Russia regardless of NATO. Regardless of NATO.
The police controlled these roads leading to Haiti's international airport. For today, at least. It's been shut for weeks. Out front, checkpoints to search for suspected gang members, and an armored truck to keep watch. It sits beaten and battered.
Sure, yeah, well, Patriot, yeah.
Less than a month ago, we flew in and out on commercial flights here. Now, it's desolate. The country is in chaos, essentially held hostage by gangs eager to expand their reign of terror. Over
Not
the
just
weekend,
barbecue.
more businesses looted and cars stolen. Gangs leaving behind a scorched path of ruin. We're headed to one of the last remaining hospital trauma centers that's still functioning in Port-au-Prince.
February 29th was probably the worst.
As soon as we meet one of the doctors, a call comes in.
Go ahead if you need to get it.
A gunshot victim heading into surgery. He takes us to him.
Most of those cases
No,
are
you know,
here.
woke patriot, just as much as, you know, you can't say without a doubt that a pro-peace, you know, anti, you know, imperialist, you know, all these wars and all these conflicts would have been prevented with that. You can't say that just as much as I can't say, you know, more wars would have happened if these wars didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, you can't predict that. You know, it seems like we're always going to have a problem. I don't know. The problem is bad actors that don't want peace. There are bad actors that legitimately are not concerned with world peace or getting along. You know, they force us to defend ourselves, to use violence to defend ourselves. There's characters like that they'll always exist, seemingly.
Here are gunshot victims from the gang violence.
With the patient's family giving us permission, we go in as staff prepare to operate. We're told the 24-year-old truck driver was caught in the crossfire between police and gangs.
The doctor is showing me here images that are very disturbing, but they show an entry wound of a bullet basically around the temple. And went right through and caused damage to at least one eye.
The doctor tells us the man's lost vision in both eyes.
Terrible, man.
Another bullet hit his arm.
And so they will have to amputate his arm?
Yes.
Wow.
We peer into the ICU. It's full.
Are most of these gunshot victims?
All of them.
All of them are.
She's in pain. She feels the pain in her leg.
And so how did it happen? Where were you?
Oh, poor thing. This old lady was shot.
She was going to the market.
Man.
86 years old. A
86
reminder,
years old.
no one is shielded from the violence that's gripped Haiti.
It's like 15-year-olds with AK-47s just spraying bullets like you would, spray a water hose on during summer. Callously and carelessly.
Capital in recent weeks. Police are exhausted.
Jesus, look
One
at that.
local commander telling me morale is broken and that the gangs have more money and resources than they
Thank
do.
you, woke patriot. I
Low
agree
on
with that
ammo,
take.
their squad cars out of gas. It is personal for the commander.
He was forced out with his family from their own home, and now this is his home, essentially.
Wow.
The police, at least in this
Looks like he's
community,
lucky to have a
do have
mattress.
backup in the form of local residents.
Do you feel like gangs are trying to move in and take this area?
Yes, for sure.
No, Chem
While
Goblin,
many
there
community
isn't.
leaders call for peace, they admit they're tired of feeling threatened. So
And I know I timed that person out, for obvious reasons, but I'm not denying that there are white supremacists in the Azov battalion and all that. This idea that there are, like that Ukraine is a Nazi country. It is absurd. Okay, especially when you look at Zelensky's election. Okay, these are the most pro-Jew Nazis I've ever seen in my life. Okay, what is this? Is this like Jews for Jesus? Jews for Hitler? Is that what this is? Jews for Nazis? Is that what this was in Ukraine? Okay, kind of a stretch, guys.
much so, some have created their own checkpoints and barricades, staffed 24/7, redirecting traffic and determining who comes in. Not everyone gets out.
You can see right here at this intersection, there's a massive burn pile. This is actually where the community takes justice into their own hands.
Borderline.
About a week ago was the most recent such case. They captured 4 suspected gang members. They brought them here.
Why is he talking to us like we just walked up to an NPC and like we're getting some kind of side mission or something? He's like giving us the dirt. Why is he talking to us like this? What a weird way.
Community takes justice into their own hands. About a week ago was the most
Got
recent
Blaze up in
such
here.
case.
Watch out.
They captured 4
Let me
suspected
give you the
gang
skinny
members.
adventurer.
They brought them here, killed them with machetes, and set their bodies on fire.
Davin. I agree with that. I agree with that
The gruesome
statement.
vigilante acts recorded in part
It's a bit
as a warning
BS.
to the gangs. But even amid utter turmoil, life moves forward.
They want to
and
be
with
part
it,
of that
moments
alliance.
to celebrate. Outside a church, these bridesmaids excitedly awaiting their cue to walk down the aisle.
Look at that. I mean, isn't that amazing? Life goes on, man. Isn't that something else? War-torn gang, peak gang violence. We got a wedding. Girls, we got a wedding. Isn't that amazing? I tell you what, man. Women are the most important element to a peaceful society. Respecting women, making women part of governing, so important. Because really, I mean, honestly, all this nonsense going, all this gangs and shooting up, what's the most important thing happening right now? Really? What's this? The shit that's supposed to be happening. The peace and harmony that the government should be creating so that this can be happening all over the place. This is the most important thing happening in the country. These women have 100% the right priority. You see what I mean? You look like Crazy Dave from Plants vs. Zombies. Blah 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Here's a new weapon. Blah blah blah. It's a blah 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 blah. Here you go. I duct taped 2 plants together. I love that game.
These bridesmaids excitedly
gangs
awaiting
getting the
their
weapons?
cue
That's a good
to
question.
walk
I'm
down
not
the
sure.
aisle.
Port-au-Prince is a city now shattered by the relentless blasts of violence that have forced more than 300,000 of its residents out of their homes.
Where are you staying here? Where's your home in this facility? Right up there?
They take refuge in places like this school, classrooms turned dorm rooms, where more than 1,500 people cram in.
So she's showing us this is
adorable.
all her stuff
That's
that
her
she's been
stuff,
able to bring. And this is where she is set up right now.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be.
In the
Ken
classroom
Goblin.
next
They
door,
shouldn't be.
we meet this woman. Her husband killed
Especially since Ukraine is neither.
by gang members. She and her 5-year-old, like many here, have been forced to move every few weeks. We're sleeping hungry. We're in misery, she tells me. We'd probably be better off dead than living this life.
It's terrible to hear. Absolutely terrible to hear. Oh, pray for a day that this man's face isn't the first thing you see every damn time you turn on the news. Well, that is just incredibly depressing, and we'll be sure to be following up on that, on what's happening. But yeah, the commenter who pointed out that this is Lenny pointing out where the gangs are getting the weapons, but the commenter that pointed out that this is the gangs fighting for control. Looks like that's the case, and it looks like Barbecue was fully aware of that, and he Barbecue probably is the best setup for to fight against this, but who knows what'll happen? Who knows? So I do not have time to cover all of this Gaza news here, so I'm actually just going to leave this Gaza stuff to tomorrow because I have to go take care of the. I know. We all wanted to just be really just enraptured and talk about the absolutely terrible state. Should the U.S. government intervene? That's a very good question, Trailhead. Thank you for asking that about Haiti. It's like, look at the intervention track record for the United States. We always go in with not enough. We go in half-cocked. We go in not prepared to speak to the natives, native language, hearts and minds. The Hearts and Minds campaign is anemic at best. There's no follow through. We get our dick halfway in there and then we just don't do nothing, like Afghanistan, like Vietnam, and then the pathetic state of Ukraine when we're handed a discount bargain basement, kick Russia's ass on a discount and not get a single American soldier killed in the process on a silver platter, and we can't even do the number one thing that America is best at, which is making and distributing weapons. We can't find a way to do that for Ukraine. So it's like, ideally, in a perfect, America technically has the resources, technically has the geniuses, the statesmen, the negotiators and mediators and politicians and technocrats that could do something to really create a burgeoning democracy in Haiti. Sure, technically, but all the examples, no follow through, going in half cocked, not ready to win hearts and minds, more willing to drop bombs than do anything else. It's like you're a house builder, but the only thing you're really good at is the demolition part, right? You're really stoked to get in there and start blowing holes into walls and ripping up the copper, right? But then you got to start building the house and you completely fall flat. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You've never built a house properly. You don't even know what the hell's going on. So, yeah, I wish the U.S., I wish the West was competent enough to kick out of their colonial history, to actually be effective in helping the Haitian people. But right now, Joe Biden, Donald Trump helping the Haitian people, they couldn't help themselves at a fucking drive-thru. You know what I mean? Yes, Trailhead. We should take in as many refugees as possible. But just like with Afghanistan, just like with Gaza, just like with any other country that is, deserves a break, even though there's unbelievable amounts of space in the middle of America, we should take as many refugees as they're willing to give us. Make this country amazing. Do you know how patriotic a migrant coming from another country that's given a job and an opportunity and a house and a better life? Do you know how patriotic that person is for the country that that let them in? I'm talking super patriots, dude. This whole idea, they come in here and they force us to talk their language, and they force us their culture. No. I mean, sure, that's some of the case with some zealots and some bigots, but no. In my observation, immigrants are some of the most patriotic people, in the countries that they immigrated to. They love that country. They gave up everything to come here. Whatever. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this news flash, News Underground. I am a banded nihilism. I'd like to give big props to Woke Patriot, Trailhead, Davey, Tem Goblin, Davin, Bob Killer, who said I looked like Bob from Plants vs. Zombies. Okay, I didn't notice that before. Welcome back, Ponder Monkey. Sorry you came here at the end. Some people took everything to come. Yeah, everything, man. But the family I married into is a Chinese immigrants, and let me tell you, dude, they got nothing but hate for the Chinese Communist Party that destroyed their family and forced them to leave. They love America. Homeboy's a Trump supporter. He's a Chinese immigrant, right? He's a Trump guy, because he's an old man, right? The big props to Borderline Feline. Once again, Libertarian Davey, thank you for coming in. Props to Father Dari. Thank you for coming back in. Fuck you, Sybin. Big props to your boy Lenny. Make sure you're liking and subscribing, Lenny. Hey, all those lurkers out there. If you want another great show in the morning to watch, make sure you check out Lenny. Give that guy a follow. Also, Chrono Stampede. I think I saw... No, Clutch Cargo. Clutch Cargo in here. Big props to Clutch Cargo. Thank you, Clutch. Thank you, Ribbons. I see you, Ribbons. Thank you. Stickers... Thank you, Stickers. Advise you to change your name. I don't really like it. Anoke Life. Thank you, Anoke Life. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming back. Big props to you. Big props to Davin once again. Hey, the big room. Thank you, Rob MQ. Thank you, Rob MQ. Big props to Rob MQ. Student Debt. Student Debt. It was good to see you. Thank you, Student Debt, for coming back. Big props to you. No problem, Borderline Feline. Thank you. 2 hours of news, 2 hours, 20 minutes. People go to America Legally event trying to vote in a federal fucking election. Exactly, Davin. All the fear mongering is so totally ridiculous. We have, people dying to work hard, dying to work at Burger King, dying to work that McDonald's greeter job, right? And we're like, they're just trying to take all of our good jobs away. And I'm not saying, migrants and immigrants aren't capable of more. They're capable of much more. I'm just saying, it's a golden opportunity from a purely capitalistic perspective. It is a golden opportunity that we're just shitting on, You think Jeff Bezos should be like, I'm going to literally change the lives of 100,000 Haitian people. And I'm going to ship them. I'm going to take them in, right? I'm working with the U.S. government to take in 100,000 Haitian migrants to work at Amazon warehouses across the nation. I mean, do you know what that would do to it would hurt wages. It would actually really hurt a lot of middle class people that are making, because the wages would go down because, Haitian migrants would be able to get paid less. I'm just saying, you could go full blown destructive capitalism with these people, but they don't. No, they decide racism's the best thing. The neoliberals, the left, they've given up on ideas. Racism. Best we can do is racism. Fall in right into that heritage fund, right wing. They're rapists. They're bringing in fentanyl. That's what Morning Joe says. They're bringing in fentanyl. It's like we can't even properly exploit these people. We're so fucking pathetic nowadays. What are we? What are we? It's like we've already given up, man. It's like, well, the Trumps have already won. The authoritarians have already won. Whatever. Just fuck us up, dog. If I have to be the last human being on Earth to fight against this mentality, so be it. I am abandoned nihilism. This is the News Underground. And God damn it, it's that 3-step program to create political change. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a political organization. And step 3, put in the work. Take your excuses to the fucking trash, because I don't want to hear them. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. Probably tomorrow. News Underground, baby. See you next time. Whip it. It's the only thing that's ever worked. Political activism is the only thing that's ever worked. Stop trying to Jenny Craig your way to a political revolution. Stop trying to motherfucking exercise, buy an exercise bike to get to your political revolution. You got to eat right. You got to exercise to get skinny. The only way to create political change is to engage in political activism. Period. Get your ass out there and do it. Fun's over. Get to work. Bye. Love you. Bye. Bye.